Chapter 4, Grandfather, 1930. My grandfather on my mother's side worked for the railroad. He traveled a lot. Sometimes, when he passed through a town and could break his journey, he visited us. Each time, though, he announced his visit in advance by postcard. As soon as grandfather announced a visit, mother feverishly began to put our apartment in order. She dusted where no dust was left and spent the last of the household money to buy real coffee beans. She scrubbed my hands with a vegetable brush until they hurt so much I couldn't touch anything with them. She parted my hair in the center and pasted it down with water so it wouldn't stand up in its usual mess. At the given time, I thus awaited grandfather, standing behind our front door in my Sunday suit. The doorbell rang. I tore open the door. Bowing low, I said, "Good day, dear grandfather. We are so glad to see you." Herzlich willkommen, which translates to welcome. Without a word, grandfather strode past me. Quickly, he marched through the apartment, inspecting every room with care. He didn't stop until he reached the living room. We were allowed to shake hands then. He made me show him mine first. Both were clean. Then I had to turn around and lift up my feet one after the other. Grandfather wanted to see if the crosspiece between the sole and heel of each shoe had been polished with shoe cream. Since we knew about this whim, he didn't find anything to object to. Afterwards, grandfather took his place, always the same one, at the living room table. He sat very straight. Father sat down opposite him. Mother remained standing behind grandfather's chair so she wouldn't miss anything he asked for. I crouched silently in the corner, red scrubbed hands on cleanly washed knees. Whenever I moved, Mother looked at me. She laid a finger on her lips, reminding me to be silent. Grandfather, as usual, talked at Father. He reproached him for not trying hard enough to find work, and Father listened with his head humbly lowered because he knew how the conversation would end. It always ran the same course. At the end, Grandfather said without fail, "If you had gone to the railroad as I did, you wouldn't have brought your family to such misery." Father nodded in resignation. "But the boy," Grandfather always added, "the boy will go to the railroad. I will see it to myself. The boy shall have a secure future and be entitled to an old age pension." Father agreed with Grandfather. He agreed with him in everything, because Grandfather helped support us. As long as we had only Father's unemployment pay, Grandfather sent us money each month. This amount went to the household fund. Without it, we'd have been hungry even more often. Suddenly, there was such a violent bump upstairs that our lamp shook. "That was Friedrich," I said. Grandfather looked at me sternly. Then he asked Father, "Who is Friedrich?" Father readily explained. "Above us lives a Jewish family, the Snyders. Their boy's name is Friedrich, and the two are the same age. They are friends." Grandfather cleared his throat. "A Jewish family?" he inquired. "Yes," Father said. "Nice people." Grandfather said nothing for a while by pressing his lips hard together. Then he began. "I once had a superior who was a Jew. Cohn was his name. None of us liked him. He always smiled, even when he told you off. Friendly on the surface, he'd ask whoever it was made a mistake into his office. There he'd explain everything you'd done wrong as if you were a schoolboy. And always with a special friendliness. One time, it was summer. I saw that he wore a square rag on his chest and back underneath his shirt, a prayer shawl with a fringe on it. He didn't even take his hat off in a room. No, I really don't like to remember Herr Cohn." Neither Father nor Mother commented on Grandfather's story. Grandfather looked at us, then he said, "We are Christians. Bear in mind that the Jews crucified our Lord." Here Father interjected, "But not the Schneiders." Mother's face changed color. Grandfather got up from the chair. He leaned on the table with his knuckles. So sharply it came out like a snarl, he ordered, "I do not wish the boy to associate with this Jew." He sat down again as suddenly as he had stood up. Father and Mother looked frightened. It was quiet, dreadfully quiet, in the living room. The doorbell rang. Mother hurried to the door. Outside, I heard Friedrich's voice. "Can he come upstairs, please?" Mother whispered, "Not possible. Grandfather's here." She shut the door and returned to the living room. "Who was that?" Grandfather said imperiously. A child from the neighborhood, Mother replied. Would you like another cup of coffee?